All right, gonna give it a couple minutes, wait for more people to come in. All right, everybody. So this is gonna be a pretty simple stream. I'm listening to the actual broadcast, and I'm putting on the background the ESPN draft board. So I'm guessing this should update as it goes. I've got the NBA one as well, NBA.com one. So I'll update these. These will be in the background as picks go off the board. And I'm also going to keep Jonathan Gavoni's most recent mock. He's usually pretty accurate with these as we get really close to the lead up. So just for like comparison's sake, my guess is his top like 8 to 9 is pretty accurate. So I'm going to have that out, but it's going to be pretty simple. Like I'm just going to have it on. Not going to be talking too much until I get any questions. Stuff happens. Any big trades happen. I'll be reacting here first, doing some cap analysis as any moves happen. Thank you, Jonathan Chen. What up, Yossi? Love your work. Thank you. Appreciate it. Been working hard. I'll also be on Twitter time, as in if the picks get leaked before the official broadcast, I'll be operating as if it's already been, the pick's already been made. So, yeah, my broadcast, Adam Silver just walked out, and the Mavs are officially on the clock. All right, and Jonathan Cavoni confirms it. First pick is Cooper. So Mavs already pretty busy this past week, past 48 hours. They went ahead and extended Gafford. More significantly, they re-signed Kyrie. He was going to make 43, declined it down to 37. That got them below the second apron. So this is just my projection. It's not officially that he's going to get this much, but based on how they structure contracts usually, that's probably where it's going to land. That's the lowest they can get on a, they could start him at 3 for 19. So now they have enough room to use that taxpayer mid-level, that $5.7 million amount. Probably going to get a guard with that. Mark Stein was saying today their leading suitor for D'Angelo Russell. Could also go after like Malcolm Brogdon, Chris Paul. So that's the Mavs. I don't think they have any other picks in this draft. Yeah, they don't. This is it. So maybe unless they make some other trades, this will probably be it for the Mavs for the night. Looking into the number one pick, getting Cooper flagged. Big question for me is how long do they have to not be a title contender for them to finally blow it up and actually build around Cooper? And I'll be keeping an eye on that as we get closer to the deadline. I feel like if very good chance they're already going to be behind with Kyrie hurt. Maybe that's if they're really behind, maybe that's could be the start of some type of young term going to more, just trying to build around Flag. Probably not, but they'll probably give it a bit more time. Straight Shooter asks Yossi, if you were Philly, would you consider trading down for Maluak to hedge on Embiid? If so, what compensation would you expect from Brooklyn in addition to the 8th pick? So I looked into Philly trade down opportunities back last month, like right after the lottery. Have not really looked into it since. A lot has changed, like Ace Bailey not being the third guy. This guy slotted at 3 anymore. One, I think they're looking to save money. So if you can get off like Andre Drummond, maybe a team gives you positive value for Oubre. I think if you're Philly, yeah, trading down to 8, even 9, that's not so bad. I think you're mostly looking for future picks though. You can get the extra pick from the Wizards, from the Jazz. They each have extra picks in this draft. I don't know if that's what Philly exactly wants. They already have a lot of players under contract. They still have to re-sign Quentin Grimes. That's a whole nother element of this. That they're slotted to. They're being projected in most mock drafts to take VJ Edgecombe. So that's going to be a very crowded backcourt between Maxey, McCain, Edgecombe, and Quentin Grimes, assuming that they do resign him, which I would think they will. But if they don't trade down, so to answer your question, I think they need future picks, like a future pick just an additional first round pick in a future season. They could really use that. They are down like 1, I think, to the Nets or another team still. And yeah, and then just to save money for Philly. But if they do take Edgecombe and they keep him, I do wonder if that might open the possibility they might want to sign and trade Grimes. Not necessarily go out of their way to trade for him, but if another team who is interested in him, it's going to be hard to get him as a restricted free agent, wants to sign and trade for him, maybe offer a first-round pick, a future first-round pick, that might be worthwhile for the Sixers, given this glut of guards. I think I have to refresh this manually. Okay. I'll put the auto refresher on. Duke leads all schools with 6 number 1 overall picks. Cooper Flagg, Paolo Banchero, Zion Williamson, Kyrie Irving, Elton Brand, and then Art Heyman. This is a tweet from Underdog NBA. I've gotten 2 people text me separately about is Shams not going to leak the tweets. I mean, that's just one pick that everyone knew was coming. So we'll see. All right. So looks like maybe it's Gavoni announcing the picks instead of Shams. He is saying it is going to be Dylan Harper. So no surprises so far. Spurs. Yeah, they're going to be... They played it safe. They're just... I thought very early on they trade down. They're keeping... They select Dylan Harper instead of keeping him, and they've got a lot of guards there as well. But they have a lot of draft picks. They could still do something. They can trade a maximum of 6 picks. If you're not including Harper, that number 2, then you could trade up to 5. My buddy Sam Quinn made a good point yesterday that now that the Hawks are going for it, they get Porzingis. These Hawks picks might not be quite as valuable as we anticipated. Because if the Hawks are fully healthy, I feel like they should be above the play-in range. In which case, 25 picks looking like a pick in the early 20s. So maybe the Spurs want to act earlier on these than later. Obviously, a Giannis suitor. If Shams was saying last night, they're talking about the Celtics are listening to offers on Jaylen Brown and Derek White. I think Jaylen Brown would make a lot of sense there if they wanted to. Like if you could trade for Giannis, you could also trade for Jaylen Brown. They make the same amount of money. And then we'll see what they end up doing with 14. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade out of the first round. Last year they had 2 lottery picks, traded the 8. That was a Dillingham pick for a future pick. But now that they have Harper, I wonder just how attached they are to De'Aaron Fox going forward. Not necessarily going to try to move him now. But if there is an opportunity to trade for a different all-star and Harper's looking really good early on, what if you can save some picks and make a deal with Fox? He'll be extension eligible too this summer. Sounds like he'll be getting a max. Kofi says, Shams ain't even tweet out the pick. We might be in for a busy day. The Hawks Twitter tweeted this. That's great. All right, so 2 for 2 so far. There's a trade down. Now's the time. Never even thought of that. The Mavs now have 3 first number 1 overall picks on the team with AD, Kyrie, and Cooper. That's pretty cool. And like all relatively, if not in their prime, like pretty pretty close for the vets. That's pretty cool. All right. Yep, it's VJ at 3 for Jake Fisher. I already talked about the Sixers, but I'll leave it up. Okay, who's next? Number 4 is... God, who's number 4? Charlotte. For most of today, and I think yesterday, ESPN's had Knuppel there at 4. So if they do take him there, and if they don't, there's probably more. Probably they still take a guard. I'm keeping an eye on what happens with Trey Mann and his restricted free agency. He's got a $7 million qualifying offer. Missed most of last year with a back injury. Was playing pretty well upon getting traded to Charlotte. But they have a lot of guards there now between LaMelo, Miller, Josh Green, Nick Smith. Okay, not too many guards, but if they do take another guard here, I wonder how much they prioritize giving him that qualifying offer. Maybe they want to keep that tax space about 27 million below the tax to potentially just have that flexibility extra for more moves to bring in more bad money with draft picks, whatever it is. With Desmond Bain going for as much as he did, you'd think the Hornets would want to try to capitalize on that with LaMelo. It's hard for me to identify the team out there that needs a guard like and is willing to that like needs a guard like that and has the appetite to give up as many picks as it would be required to get Charlotte to move off him early. I thought about maybe like Portland or Toronto, but I don't really see it. I was thinking about I didn't do any mock off season videos for them, but that's a player I was thinking of, so I'd be curious to see what Charlotte does. Feels like they're really behind. It's going to take them a while to at least 2 years away from maybe getting close to the play-in tournament. So always going to be wondering if LaMelo can be had. Hold on. What happened? Just some more confirmation that the Spurs are keeping Dylan Harper. I really thought there might be some movement in the top 3 this year with how chaotic the lottery was. All right. Michael Scotto reporting that the Hornets will select Knuppel. So ESPN is 4 for 4 right now. No surprises yet. How do you spell it? UE. Knue. All right. All right, we got a little rumor. For KOC says Vince Goodwill hearing the Hornets and Wizards have discussed swapping 4 and 6. But I guess that was 3 minutes ago. I mean, they just selected Khan. I'm guessing that's kind of it. All right, so Utah is up. ESPN's got Fears going up 5. There have been some rumors that Bailey is trying to avoid Charlotte and Utah to either go to Washington, New Orleans, or Brooklyn. We'll see if Fears is the guy. So Utah, John Collins just opted in today. It's at 26 million. No surprise there. Bit of a roster crunch, but they can just waive a couple of these guys to solve it. I'm really curious what the plan is. New president. Are they going to continue with this trajectory they're on and try to get more chances at drafting a guy, or do they want to speed things up a little bit? I think they still have to be a little bit patient. They just completed year 3 of this. Generally, that's as long as teams like to go on a rebuild. but they might have to wait a little bit longer. Enough space to bring on some bad money, get some more draft picks. Figure we should really get a good idea of what exactly the plan is in the coming days. All right. Interesting. First, I suppose, surprise based on intel the last few days, the Utah Jazz are selecting Ace Bailey. Utah not scared off by any potential. I mean, maybe that stuff's not true. Maybe he didn't want to be there. Maybe he is okay with being there. And Gavoni says the Utah Jazz are keeping Ace Bailey as well. I'd love to know what the strategy exactly was. But it seems like this really didn't impact anything. He was already thought to maybe not be 3 as early as last month, only ends up going down to 5. So Utah taking the upside pick and seeing what happens. That's what they need. They need the highest upside right now. So we'll see then. Maybe we just get a switch here. And maybe Fears goes 6 to Washington. We'll see. All right, so Washington's up next. I would guess based on how the mocks are going, Fears will go next. Yeah, they've got Carrington, but I think they could still bring in another guard. I don't think they have like anyone that's like, you know, taken the reins of any position on this team. Just did that McCollum trade, which I liked more for the Wizards. In the end, it's just they got a first round pick for taking Poole, and even if he turns, even if he has a nice career, doesn't really project to be a part of this Wizards team. So they got off his contract clean. They just cost them 1 second to do it, which I don't think they really need because they already have another pick coming up at 18. And they have a lot of flexibility. They've got like 12 and a half below the tax. So they're projected to have a lot of cap space. My feeling is they'll instead do trades where they trade a bunch of their expiring guys like Middleton, McCollum, Smart for guys have money beyond this season. Try to get some more draft picks. That's probably what they're looking at. So instead of having like 80 million in cap space, maybe it gets cut down in half realistically. See a lot of Nets fans sad that Ace didn't slip to them. From Eric Slater, based on reporting, Jeremiah Fears is expected to pick Washington, would leave New Orleans ahead of Brooklyn with Kaman Malwak and Trey Johnson, the top players on the board. That's an interesting. See if that happens. Yeah, no trade for Ace Bailey. John Gamador says, I expect the Phoenix Suns to be very active in upgrading their roster tonight, not just with draft picks, but would not be surprised with a trade or two. John has had a lot of foresight when it comes to the Suns knew that the Durant trade was coming about a couple hours before it was officially announced. So definitely going to keep an eye on the Suns now. For Jonathan Givony, after drafting Jason Tatum as a front office member of the Boston Celtics, Austin Ainge selects Ace Bailey, who he's hoping to help develop into the next Utah Jazz All-Star. And we've got the pick. Per Michael Scotto, the Washington Wizards will select Trey Johnson with the 6th pick in the draft. So fear slipping. So Fear's now available to New Orleans at 7. I would guess that they're going to take a big man. They have a glaring need for another big after. I mean, they just do. They could use another big. So maybe Fears goes to Brooklyn. On the Hoop Collective, Draft Express said Austin Ainge doesn't give a damn if Ace Bailey doesn't want to get drafted by Utah Jazz, and he'll select him if he's the best player available. Yeah, it's better. Interesting. According to Rafael Barlow, Ace Bailey completed one private workout in a city known for jazz. This was this morning. All right. Oh, okay. Nope, the Pelicans don't go with a big man. Per Michael Scotto, the Pelicans will select Jeremiah Fears. Nice night for my boy Scotto. I think he's got like 3 already of these picks broken first. So the Pelicans now have a lot of guards between Jordan Poole, DeJounte Murray, Jeremiah Fears, Jordan Hawkins, Jose Alvarado. I've speculated on the show if they might want to try packaging some picks to move Murray now to maybe get a big man. Uh, Now that they got Fears and Poole, kind of feels to me that this new regime does not have any interest in waiting for DeJounte Murray to come back. The previous regime, they traded for him last year. They traded a couple picks to get him, including Dyson Daniels. That trade's looking too good for the Hawks right now. But yeah, there's a big imbalance here. They don't even have a backup big, assuming Yves Missi is starting. So maybe they get that at 23. But that's what I'm keeping an eye on now. Do they try to package some picks to trade Murray, get another guy who could fit in, and they'll try to compete? I don't think this team's going to be very good, even if they're fully healthy. But I figured that might be what the plan is. Joe Dumars traded for his point guard of the present, Jordan Poole, and he drafted his point guard of the future in Jeremiah Fears. Okay, who's next? Brooklyn. This was not one of his preferred destinations in regards to Ace Bailey. That faith. All right, so Fears drops about 2 spots from his projection. And now Maluak drops 1. Trey Johnson, biggest riser so far from 8 to 5. So, yeah, big question. Are the Nets going to use all 5 first-round picks? I don't think they will, but I guess we'll find out. Not totally unprecedented. The Rockets did have 4 first-round picks 4 years ago. Jalen Green, Şengün, Josh Christopher, Usman Garuba. They selected them all, and all were on the Rockets for at least 2 years. If any team can afford to have 5 first-round picks right now, it is this Brooklyn Nets team. I think they'll do something, though. They've got $60 million in cap space. Got cut down to about the 40s by taking on Man in 22. But if they end up trading Claxton or Cam Johnson, they can make up some of that to have some more. Okay. Wow. And the ESPN mock is out the window. Scotto with another one. The Brooklyn Nets are going to select Igor Demin. So all the guards taken early in this draft. Got the Wizards reaching for one early. I think the Pelicans taking a guard really threw everything off, and the Nets probably hoping they could have gotten them in maybe a little lower, closer to 19. Maybe they could have tried to package some of these picks to move up to like 12 or something to get him. And all the other top guards are off the board. So they're going to go ahead and take him. They had them in going at 13 to the Hawks. So yeah, if you're the Nets, you're probably hoping to trade up to here to try to get him. All right, Toronto. I mean, yeah, if they're looking for a big man, couldn't have worked out better for them. They could use another big man. Also from Gambo, I think the dream is Malawak. Suns did not expect him to be there at 10, so we did not put him, but did say he would be the pick if he's there. So one pick left and it's still on the clock. I have to think they'll take him if he's available there. There's some obvious concerns with Spears' outside jumper, especially at the point guard will be featured next to Zion, but he's special. When he has the ball in his hands, gets the paint at will, passing vision much better than people think. The big question is how much of a factor will Spears be as a rookie? I'm sure some of that will be based on him knocking down jumpers. All right, so yeah, Toronto's next. Free Shooter says, love the outside the box from Brooklyn. If he hits, that archetype can be really valuable. Something Marks was hoping from Ben Simmons. Raptors pick taking a while. With the 9 pick, the Toronto Raptors select Colin Murray Boyles. Center slipping. So if Gambo's right, Malawak will go to the Suns at 10. All right. Suns. Still got to shed some money. We'll probably start with waiving these two. Assuming they get Malawak at 10, they've got their big man rotation more or less set. They'll still need a point guard. Can you trade one of your extra guards, attach a pick to get a guard? The Raptors are keeping Colin Murray Boyles. A source told ESPN despite considerable interest from teams trying to trade up for the pick. So up here, yeah, just Malawak is the highest one to fall so far. So we'll see if he goes to Phoenix. Otherwise, ESPN had them taking Carter Bryant. And Gambo's confirming it. Well, not confirming. He's saying he expects the Suns with the 10th pick will take Malawak. And Scotto's confirming it. Malawek at 10. Breaking, the Charlotte Hornets are trading Mark Williams to the Suns for the 29th pick. All right. Finally, a little bit of action. Didn't the Hornets give that pick to the Suns? And that's quite a fall from getting 31 in a swap. Oh, boy. So, I mean, the Suns, they have to trade something back. They don't have any trade exception they're allowed to use to take them in. I mean, they got to do a 100% match right now. Oh, they're also trading a 29 first round pick. I didn't read the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, I can't really process this trade right now because the Suns, they need to send money back. There's got to be a little bit more details to this. Suns still above the aprons, both of them. So they don't have any trade exception. Even if they did, they can't use it to absorb Mark Williams. So still need some details. I'm guessing the Hornets are going to be taking back some money to help out the Suns. Could break it down for Charlotte though. I mean, see, I didn't read the whole tweet. So the Hornets. So the Hornets originally were going to get the 31 first round pick from the Lakers and a swap. So they still get a very distant pick. That 29 first, it's not going to be a Suns first. It's going to be the lesser of Utah, Minnesota, and Cleveland. So it's not going to be as valuable. But instead of an additional, instead of a swap, they get, and Dalton Connect, they get the 29th pick in tonight. So probably not as good as the original trade, but I think it's still pretty good value, all things considered. And the Suns now have a pretty set at center now. Keep in mind, despite they're sending 100%, they can't aggregate right now. So it's got to be like whoever's making more than Mark Williams has to come back. So when we look at Phoenix, and we got another trade. The Blazers are trading the Cedric 11th pick was taking Cedric Coward to the Grizzlies. So when you look at the Suns, they're right now as things stands, they're gonna have to trade basically one of these guys at least. Mitic, Martin, Royce, and up. Mark Williams makes $6.3 million. I think the Suns might be completely out of future first round picks now because they got the 10. They just made the selection. The 29, they just traded it, and they traded the 29. I think they're out of picks. I'm gonna double check. Yep, they cannot trade any more picks. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that worth what the Suns just did, clearing out their the chest of what they had left to get Mark Williams. Like it was a similar situation as the Lakers. The Lakers had no. They had that was their last remaining pick when they made it. Um, like I get the Suns trading what they need to bring in a guy they like Mark Williams, but the most over leveraged team in the league becomes even more leverage as possible. That was basically their last move. Um, by the way, I'll just clarify: the Suns do have first round picks. Like they have a 2028 first round pick. They have their 2030 first round pick. They just cannot trade those. They traded their 2031 Stepien rule blocks 31 from 2030 from being traded. 2032 is frozen. And now just because they traded 2029, they cannot trade 2028. And because they traded 2026, they cannot trade 2027. So yeah, they cannot trade any more picks. That was it. The Suns shot out their last bullet, but we still have more details to come because, like I said, the Suns need to send back money. They can't just take on Mark Williams for nothing. So we definitely have more coming up. Yeah, just we're not getting much details on these trades. I can't really say much. Oh, here we go. The Grizzlies are sending 16 and the 28 Orlando pick. That's pretty good value for the Blazers. I like that. Get an extra first round pick. So when the Grizzlies did that Bane trade, you're probably looking at that 28 and 2030 pick, the later ones as the most variable ones. But sounds like Memphis wants to get out of that pick early and go get a guy that they highly value. So I think I like it a lot. I think I like it more for Portland right now, unless Cedric Howard is really good. Last time the Grizzlies traded up in 2021 didn't quite work out for them as they hoped. They traded the pick that became Trey Murphy, traded up to get Zaire Williams. Mainly, they took on a lot of bad money from the Pelicans. The one thing about the Suns trade is like, at least I hope they're getting off like Grayson Allen or yeah, you'd hope they're getting off Grayson Allen. At least get off some bad money. That would save him a lot of money against the Tax and Aprons. So we'll find out soon who they're sending out. Another trade, the Hawks are trading 13 to the Pelicans for 23 and the Bucks first in 2026. Hold on. Wow. Do the Pelicans now have 7, who they took Fears with 13, 20? Oh, no, they moved up from 23 to 13. Oh, still have the same amount of picks. Yeah, that Bucks pick, I wonder, I wouldn't have given up on that just yet. I think you kind of want to see how the Bucks look like. Now now the Hawks have that Bucks pick. Not saying that, you know, they're going to be in play for Giannis, but that's like a nice pick to have in trying to do any type of negotiation with the Bucks going forward. And then the Pelicans are taking Derek Queen with the 13th pick. Okay, so I know that so the Pelicans technically have 2 firsts in 2027, 2026. No, they only have 1 pick. Yeah, this is a really nice pick. Atlanta just really like what they've done so far this offseason. Yeah, I am not liking what the Pelicans have done so far between getting Jordan Poole, trading the Pacers, pick back. Fisher says Micic is heading back to Charlotte as part of the Mark Williams deal. So now I could break it down. So since the Suns are trading Micic, this is actually going to make them way more expensive than they need to be. And I'll show you why. So here's where they are now. $245 million tax penalty. They could just simply cut Martin and Micic, and that brings it down to 115. Now they're keeping Micic. Not keeping Micic. They're trading him. So they're kind of just keeping that salary when you account for sending out the 29, having to replace it with a minimum salary, and then replacing Micic with Mark Williams. Yeah. He'll come out. They could have saved a lot more. If they waive Cody Martin, then they're still looking at being above the second apron and with a big tax payment. So I can't say I like this for the Suns. Over became as fully leveraged as possible, and now it's going to be hard. How are they going to save money if they don't have any picks? And these guys don't really have. It could be Dylan Brooks, I guess. Don't you kind of need Dylan Brooks right now? You need someone who could stop anybody on this roster. It's a mess. So Micic is going to have his team option picked up. That's the only way this trade is going to work. That's crazy. Micic was like supposed to head back to Europe. He just got $8 million, and they might just cut him straight up to make this trade happen. So funny how the Hornets and Suns keep trading for each other, trading with each other. Are the Suns trading the guy that they just drafted? No, they're not trading Malawak. They're trading a future pick. 2029 first round pick, and then the 29th pick in this year's draft. That guy hasn't been drafted yet. Hornets have a lot of extra firsts now. They have the Dallas 27, Heat 27, now a 1 in 29. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. 10 between 26 and 32. That's really nice. Yeah. I'm all caught up now, but I'm still in disbelief what the Pelicans did because they only have one first round pick next year. It's the most. It's either theirs or the Bucks. So they just traded their pick next year to move up in this draft. They earlier in the week traded that Pacers pick next year. That can be a little higher than anticipated now. I don't like to take on Jordan Poole's money for next year. I just one of the bigger losers of the offseason, I have to say. Is my audio not working? Maybe it's not. Hello, Chad. Is the audio working? No, I think it's working. Someone said it's not working. So the Blazers, everyone's still reacting to the Blazers selecting Hanson Yang. Now they have DeAndre Ayton, Donovan Kling, Rob Williams, Duop Reith, and Yang Hansen, 7'1" center. Wow, I didn't even consider that Mark Williams is due for an extension next year. I mean, he's due. He's going to be extension eligible now. So talk about another contract that the Suns have to put on their books. And the Suns are going to have to extend him after trading 2 firsts to get him. Oh, the Wizards are trading this pick now? 21 and some seconds to Washington for Walter Clayton. Makes sense for Utah. They already had 2 seconds, so might as well trade one of them to move up. Sorry, I've been quiet for like the past half hour. Now so much stuff's happening, trying to get everything under control. All right, we're getting into Brooklyn hour. Brooklyn's on the clock, and then they've got still an additional 3 firsts coming up. Now's the time. Yeah, so here's Phoenix right now, where I plugged it all in. I got Mark Williams in there. So I also put in the 52 pick. Maybe they sign that player to a rookie minimum to save a little bit of money. But yeah, like this is still a pretty expensive roster. It's going to be at like 430 million for this team. So, okay, they've got some centers now. Um, they have no point guard, but they have no pick. So I don't know how they're going to get a guard, but I they're basically going to be staying in the tax. They're pretty deep into the tax. I don't know how they're going to be able to significantly lower this this penalty, and they're like in 16 over the second apron. They could cut Cody Martin by Friday, by June 30th. Then you're like 7.7. So you have a way, like there is an avenue you can duck below the second apron, but you're still looking at paying like still a lot of money here. Like let's say you can dump Royce O'Neal, that gets you below the second apron as well. Still pretty expensive roster, all things considered. I still understand like how much Mark Williams is supposed to help them. All right, guys. The stream's about to time out on Twitter, and my head's starting to hurt anyways with the headphones on for about, what is it, almost 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna check out now. Yeah, not as much action as I hoped there'd be. Just this one Phoenix trade, that's like the biggest one. But yeah, I'll be active. I don't think I'll be live tonight. Maybe tomorrow I'll do some reaction, get Sam back on. And yeah, just subscribe to Third Apron. Keep following me on Twitter. I'll be breaking down all the salary cap analysis as the transactions happen. And yeah, I hope you guys just enjoyed me being locked in and trying my best to update all my stuff, even though I didn't show it that much. Thanks for supporting me, everyone. I'll see you guys soon.